So I know a lot of you guys have been asking about the different killers in Dead by Daylight, and a lot of streamers and a lot of players think that Freddy Krueger is one of the weaker killers in the game. Now, I agree he isn't one of the strongest killers, but I don't believe I put him in the bottom three, okay? The bottom three, in case you're wondering, for me, is currently Legion after the rework, the Pig, and the Doctor. So, before we go into too many details, I want to quickly explain that my builds are generally based off using no add-ons. I mean, anyone can run the class photo for situational awareness alongside, you know, the paint thinner or the pill bottle, maybe even the blue dress, and then have mass situational awareness on a map such as the game, which is already stacked on top of itself, alongside a full lethal build, Hoarder Ground, Devour Hope, make your choice, and then Distortness. Anyone could do that, and that is terrifying, very scary. But the way I build these killers, I base it off no add-ons. Now, if I was versing a very good Swift, they had toolboxes, I could change my build and tailor it to be more efficient. But I believe the more you use add-ons, you know, you won't excel to your full potential as that killer. When you stop using add-ons, you'll realize, shit, I can't rev the chainsaw quick enough, I can't do this, I need to incorporate other things, like twisting my camera, like blocking them with my body while I rev the saw, or in Freddy's case, putting somebody to sleep for 7 seconds. If I can't get a hit or a free pallet, then I rotate. Alright, so having a look right now, the basic way to build Freddy, okay? There are 4 principles that almost all killers should be following, okay? So if we're going to have a look right now, we've got something to slow down the game, something to speed up the game in the killer's favor, something to clutch the game, and a utility perk. That is generally how a lot of killers work. However, Freddy is a little bit different, okay? The utility perk can be replaced with a situational awareness perk, depending on how you want to build it. So, for example, let's just go out right now and look and go, okay, something to help us stall the game, okay? Stock standard ruin is most people would run that, okay? And now let's go something to help us situational awareness in terms of finding survivors. Okay, most people would fall victim to running the basic barbecue and chili. Something to speed up the game. Most people would most likely run speeding up the game in your favor as a killer, enduring. And then something to clutch a game. I would see a lot of people run Noed, but, you know, there are a lot of alternatives. You could go Remember Me, you could go Make Your Choice, you could go Sloppy Butcher, you could go Save the Best for Last, you could go Infectious Fright. There are a lot of options. That there is a stock standard basic Freddy build. But that is not a great build. Let's recap. Why is this not a good build? Okay, Ruin breaks in the first 10 seconds. You have nothing to slow down the game. You do have situational awareness. You're going to have to rotate back to the hook for a Make Your Choice trade. Therefore, you have 2 players immobilized rather than the one that you're currently chasing. I do not rate this. Now, if I'm going to tweak this build and make this build more efficient and effective for me, let's just talk about Freddy. Let's look at his power, right? When a survivor is asleep, as long as you're outside of their terror radius, their aura will glow outside of your terror radius. Their aura will glow bright pink or light red, whatever you want to refer to it as. If you have Monitor and Abused, you can get even closer. If you're running this thing called the black box, not the black box, sorry, you're running the red paintbrush, you can get even closer. However, you suffer a 5% movement penalty, putting you on 110. With the red paintbrush and the and Modern Abuse, you have like an 8-meter heartbeat. You can get very close, but you have a slower movement speed, so you can get looped. It'll only be good on a map like the game or Larry's Institute, where you can block corners and come around like Spooky Myers kind of builds. Okay? However, we're not about the add-ons. Alright. The Freddy has built-in Deerstalker and Seeing People. So that means I'm going to take advantage of that. Now, if I want to get closer to people, I can run Modern Abuse. But instead of running Modern Abuse, I can run another perk that works really well. The fact that I have built-in Deerstalker, why would I not take advantage of built-in Deerstalker and run the amazing perk, which is underrated by a lot of people, can be annoying to verse, don't get me wrong, but there are perks to counter it, is the magnificent, the one and the only. I can only think of so many more things to say before I actually freaking find the perk. Where are you, the amazing Knockout? There she is. Beautiful. Sorry about that. It took me a little bit of time to find it. Knockout allows me to remove the heartbeat of different... What, then remove the heartbeat? Remove the fact that survivors can see you picking up a survivor. Now, keep in mind, Freddy takes 7 seconds to put someone to sleep without the Z block, or the unicorn blocks. And because it takes so long, I do not want you running in for a hook save while I'm picking someone up from the ground and taking them to a hook. I want to remove that. Now, if I'm going to leave someone on the ground as a slug, you need to know when the right time is to leave them, when the wrong time is to leave them. For example, if I have one in the hook, one on the ground, one in chase. That forces the last person to be altruistic. He can either try and find the guy on the ground, which he's probably not going to do, or go for the guy on the hook, which he probably is going to do. If this guy is onto the hook while downed, I will pick him up and take him to a hook as well, therefore stalling for a longer period of time, getting more bang for your buck. Every hook equals 60 seconds of a survivor's life. I want to take advantage of knockout, right? As Freddy Krueger, I take a lot of time and I need to make the right decisions. If you make a mistake as Freddy and they come in and borrowed time save and you try to tunnel, you've lost the entire game. You need to know when to give up on a chase, when to change target, when somebody's taking too much time. I call it the 15-second rule. If you don't get a pallet or a hit in 15 seconds, you would have Bloodlust 1. It means you're doing something wrong. Obviously, break the Bloodlust 1 by getting a hit or a pallet and then rotate. But what I'm saying is you should not be committing for more than 15 seconds without a form of reward as killer. A lot of the time, you'll see that I'll chase someone, I'll get something good, and I'll let him go, and I'll rotate elsewhere for the pressure. Yeah? Let's talk about situational awareness. But in fact, you know what? Before we talk about situational awareness, we'll go for our clutch perk. Okay. I was saying before, you have Infectious Fright, Make Your Choice, Noed, Save the Best for Last, and Sloppy Butcher. Which to you do you think is the best perk there to incorporate with what I'm currently running? Right, the answer is Infectious Fright. Now, a lot of you would be like, wow, Infectious Fright, doesn't that counter the fact that you're running Knockout? Not really. If I'm running Knockout and I down somebody and one person screams, I will rotate to that one person. If I down somebody and two people scream from Infectious Fright, I will then pick up the slug and hook him. It all comes down to the more knowledge I know, the more power I have, the better situation it's going to put me in. If I down one and two people scream and I can get double sleep and pick them up, bargain. But just keep in mind, you need to know the pathing, the rotation, what pallets are left on the map, how the map is shaped, where the survivor's going to run, does he have Dead Hard, does he have Balanced Landing, Medal of Man, DS, Borrowed Time. You need to know all these kind of things, yeah? So my final perk right here for my clutching perk in this current situation would 100% be Infectious Fright. Okay, moving on to my first two perks. I'll leave these for the end. I need something to slow down the game for my favor, and I need something to find survivors. Now, like I said before, the meta, the default stock standard which everybody runs is Ruin and Barbecue and Chili. Barbecue is good on Freddy because they don't see you coming as long as you avoid the grass patches and you sway with your movement, and that way survivors can't pinpoint your direction of which pathing you're taking because the lullaby isn't pinpoint directionable like the Huntress's lullaby, which is. Okay, so right now I said Ruin and Barbecue. Let's think about Freddy for a second. Freddy is about understanding where multiple survivors are at once. Okay, a recent killer that came out not too long ago that everyone loves named Legion came in with one of the best perks in Dead by Daylight. It is my second favorite perk in the game. It is called Discordance. Now, Discordance is a absolute lethal perk. It's Discordance. Sorry, there are two. There's Discordance and Discordance. Also, right, it is called Discordance. This is my second favorite perk in Dead by Daylight. My favorite is Pop Goes the Weasel. Okay? Why is this perk so powerful on Freddy Krueger? Well, it takes 7 seconds to put somebody to sleep. When they're asleep, they're going to be working on objectives 25% slower. Therefore, a generator doesn't take 80 seconds to do. 25% of 80 is 20. Therefore, a Jenny will take 100 seconds to do, which is over a minute and a half, as opposed to only just a minute and 20 seconds. This is really good for you. However, if multiple people stack on a generator and a skill check is missed, it wakes up multiple people at a time. But this is going to allow me to know when to rotate where masked people are. If I down one person screams from Infectious Fright and Discordance pops, I now know where every single survivor is. And if it's close, I can get triple sleep. If it's not close, I can maybe get a free hit on the other guy, rotate straight in. I could do a lot of things, right? This final perk could be one of two. A lot of people would fall victim to running Ruin here. However, let's recap. The perk I'm going to suggest, a lot of you will be like, that is counterintuitive with your current build. And you are right to a degree, but Infectious Fright allows me to make up for that. Pop Goes the Weasel. Once you hook a survivor, if you kick a Jenny within 30 seconds, it regresses 25% of how much it's done. If it is done 79 seconds out of the 80 seconds, it'll regress 25% of the way. That is about 20 seconds approximately off the generator straight away. Now, you might be thinking, you could get Gen Rush like this, Goose. And you're right, but to counter the Gen Rush, I have Knockout. Okay, now remember what I said before. A lot of you would go, no, Infectious Fright and Knockout kind of doesn't really work with Pop Goes the Weasel. Incorrect. I will leave the man on the ground if I do not know where one person is. For example, I say I down Jake on the ground. If Claudette screams, I will chase Claudette. However, if Claudette screams and a generator is busting from Distortants, I will pick the guy up, I will hook him. Now this gives me 3 options rather than just hooking him. I can now just hook him, I can now go for Claudette, I can now just rotate straight down there. I can now put Claudette to sleep and rotate for the generator. I have 4 options, sorry. There are so many different choices because of the knowledge of which this build provides me. I do recommend this build on Freddy Krueger if you are seasoned and experienced. If you are not experienced, this is, in my opinion, a rank 1 kind of build on Freddy Krueger. If you are not experienced, I do not recommend this. Okay, this comes down to knowing when to give up a chase, knowing when to split pressure. Considering I have nothing to speed up breaking pallets or sealing windows, I need to play smart and fast and understand if he has a good jungle gym, when to rotate and leave. Like I said again, chat, I recommend this for a rank 1 build. However, if we are stepping up in the food chain, you might be wondering what I recommend for a rank, let's just say a rank 10 build. Okay, a rank 10 build on Freddy Krueger could be one of 2. Alright, like I was saying before, Freddy can be intimidating because you cannot physically see him or know where he's coming from. Therefore, I would recommend leaning towards more so of a lethal build. You will see I have selected Make Your Choice, I have selected Haunted Ground, I have selected Devour Hope. This is a disgustingly lethal, frightening Freddy Krueger build, okay? The fact is, when you put someone asleep and you hit them and they run away and they get to a pallet and then they heal and they wake up, this build counters that. If you are a kind of man that wants to get, or a lady, who wants to get someone now, and you want to hook them, and then you want to rotate, and you want to get them again, this is the build for you. This is a pure lethal threatening build. It can, however, be changed. You could take off Make Your Choice, and you could run something along the lines of barbecue and chili. I mean, if you wanted to be an absolute sweat lord, you could put no head on at the end. You could put barbecue for the situational awareness to know where you're going to rotate for the Devour Hope stacks or how to get away. However, I fall victim to recommending the same perk yet again at the end. Now, warning, this build has no form of regression. Nothing to slow down the game. If you are scared or intimidated with this, you can take off Devour Hope and put on take it off and put on Ruin. If you wanted to, you could take off Make Your Choice and put on Ruin if you feel the need. If it was me and I wanted regression, I would take off Make Your Choice and I would put on Pop Goes the Weasel right now. You'll see a lot of Pop Goes the Weasel and Distortants with me. Knowing where to rotate to get the most bang for my buck, to know where multiple survivors are, is very, very powerful. This, in my opinion, is a good build for a rank 10 Freddy Krueger. But if you're feeling that, look, Goose, I need more regression, I don't have enough sustain, I don't understand, you could, however, go for a build a little bit more like this. If you don't understand how to rotate and how to leave pallets, or you're constantly getting pallet looped, I would recommend you run this perk right here. This is Enduring. Now, depending on what you want to go or how you want to play, you can run Enduring Spirit's Fury. But keep in mind, there is one killer in this game I recommend only running Spirit's Fury on, and that would be Freddy Krueger. There are better options on the table, but keep in mind, it takes 7 seconds to put somebody to sleep. If you walk into the pallet and he pulls it down prematurely, you'll be able to break the pallet, and the time you actually physically recover, he's still falling asleep. Only just, it's going to allow you to get that close, keep in mind. I would take off Haunted Ground. I keep saying keep in mind. This is the kind of build you want if you don't understand tracking, keep in mind. You have Nurses Calling for situational awareness. You could get rid of Distortants for barbecue and chili if you don't want to know. Remember, this is a rank 10 build we're looking at here. We're trying to help the people that suffer from tracking, suffer from not understanding split pressure. If you were confident in this kind of build and go, how could I make this build even better, Goose? There is one alternative, and that is it. This is an okay Freddy build. You're relying on Ruin a lot. You'll notice my previous build that I recommend at rank 1 has almost no perks, if not none of the same perks. A completely different build, tailored for the fact that this is about regression, situational awareness, and knowledge. This is a build you'd run if you don't know how to hunt. You don't know how to track scratches. You don't know how to anticipate movement spittings. You can't hear the grass move when a survivor goes through it, or the dirt, or the gravel, or the concrete, or the tiles, or the wooden floor. You don't understand the sounds. This will give you the knowledge you need without the experience in the game. However, keep in mind, you've obviously got teachables here from the Hag, from Leatherface, and from the Nurse. But Freddy is a kind of the killer that excels with using other people's perks first. Alright, so if we're going to take a step back, that is a rank 1 build, that is a rank 10 build. Now we're going to do a rank 15 build. At rank 15, I'm going to go under the assumption you do not have any teachables. Therefore, I'm going to look at this build and go, how can I build a build as Freddy Krueger without any teachables? Okay, let's look for a second. Freddy's 3 perks, as you guys know, is Fired Up, which is garbage. You've got Remember Me, which is decent. You have Blood Warden, which is also decent. Honestly, the safest bet would be running Blood Warden, Remember Me, and Noed. It would be the safest bet, but you're sacrificing so much pressure throughout the entire game by doing that. Alright? If you already have built-in Deerstalker, you will have nothing to speed up the game in your favor. The best perk you could possibly take out of everything is going to be Sloppy Butcher. Okay? This is going under the assumption you do not have teachables. Alright? Sloppy Butcher is going to slow down healing. It's going to make it longer. It's going to turn that 32-second heal into 40 seconds. And if they're asleep, another 25% on that. You know, you're looking at a 50-second heal. It's going to be pretty damn intimidating. Alright? If we're going to keep scrolling through, there is another perk I kind of recommend, but at the same time, if you do not know how to use Whispers, I will quickly explain it. Whispers is a 32-meter circumference around you, right? It's 32 meters in front and 32 meters behind. Therefore, it is a diameter of 64 meters. Right. As Whispers, you can walk in and out of a range in different directions to then find out which 45-degree angle a survivor is in. Keep in mind, if somebody's on the hook, it'll confuse you because the hook person will also count on Whispers too. So if I walk straight and I don't see anything and I walk back, and I walk right and I hear something, I then walk back and walk a little bit to the left, and then back and a little bit to the right. And doing that kind of movement will narrow down a 45-degree arc of where the survivor is. It's a bit complicated, a bit hard to explain. Whispers is one of the few perks that has never changed in Dead by Daylight for the 3 years this amazing game has been out. If you cannot hunt with Whispers, that is okay. There is another alternative, which is a great perk, which you don't need to actually have anything unlocked for. It is called Spies from the Shadows. Spies from the Shadows is going to let you know when a crow disappears within 36 yards. It'll give a sound notification, and you're going to be able to go straight in that direction and hopefully find a survivor and put him to sleep. Okay? Going to give you good situational awareness. It's also going to give you Sloppy Butcher to slow down the game. Right, my next perk I wouldn't normally recommend, but I am going to recommend it. It comes down to the fact that it's going to reward you for playing not great, but at the same time, it's going to give you the knowledge you need to know when it comes down to your rotations and pathings. And this perk I'm looking for, which I can't actually see, it should be on page 1 because it's alphabetical order, Goose, is Bitter Murmur. Bitter Murmur rewards you for a generator popping. It's going to give you the situational awareness. If you see a generator pop, turn and look, and you'll see red dots or light red or pink or whatever you want to refer to them of the survivors running. You might see 1, you might see 2, you might see 3. It'll give you the knowledge of where multiple people are. It will not give you any form of enhancement or any way to try and catch them or get closer to them. This leaves 1 perk. Now remember my basic build that I always recommend. Something to slow down the game, something for situational awareness, something to clutch the game, and a utility perk. Generally what I recommend on most killers. Okay, you cannot follow these principles because you do not have the unlocks for it. This is running the basic kind of stuff. Now, I have 1 choice for my final slot. Now, that is either Remember Me or Blood Warden. Now, Remember Me and Blood Warden do 2 different things. Blood Warden can steal a gate for 60 seconds while somebody is hooked. It can be decent, don't get me wrong. It is not going to give you the kill securing that you need because you're Freddy Krueger. You don't have any lethals, you don't have any pressure, you don't have any power. Alongside Remember Me is going to slow down how long it takes to open an exit gate, but you have to find and hit your obsession, which could encourage tunneling, which might actually hurt you in the long run while people split pressure Jenny on you because you have nothing to regress the generators right now. So I cannot really recommend either of them. Honest to God, the best possible choice you could have for the final slot is Noed. I do not recommend it. Noed rewards you for playing poorly. You do not want to get into the habit of relying on a perk that's going to reward you for playing incorrectly or bad. If you get 1 kill with Noed, it's not really a win. You relied on a clutch. That being said, the clutch could have been broken and then you would have been in trouble. It might not have worked. You know, there's a lot of scenarios where Noed's a really bad perk, and it's one of the things I don't recommend at all on any of my killers, regardless of the situation. However, if we're scrolling through and we keep going through, not looking at any teachables, remember, you will see there are so many teachables in this game, and at the same time, we are kind of caught out with the fact that there is not a good fourth perk for us to be able to run right now. Looking page to page, there is one kind of play you could do. I do not recommend it, but like I said, these are in regards to the fact that you have no perks or no teachables, yeah? It's Iron Grasp. Iron Grasp is going to allow you to guarantee on most maps, in most situations, take somebody to the basement. Okay? The basement on every map has a crow near it. Now, nobody has ever actually said anything about that, whether that be Larry's Institute. There is one map where the basement doesn't have a crow near it, and that is the game. Everything else, the temple has a crow near it upstairs. If it's in the Temple of, I was going to say Temple of Doom, there's still crows all the way around it, yeah? And the crows get set off while you're underneath them. So don't think that and run. You'll notice on the game, you'll be running and you'll hear a crow fly away above you. It's because it goes off in a diameter around you, yeah? So you'll still set the crows off above even when you're running down to the basement. So you could take advantage of it and try and get people to the basement and get split pressure, multiple people to sleep. Keep in mind, 7-second sleep. He's going to be able to run up the staircase and he's going to be able to pull the pallet down and then he's going to get away in most scenarios. Like I said, chat, it's making the best of a bad situation. If you did have higher levels or higher teachables, you could go Remember Me. Don't get me wrong. It would be a good idea, but then you got to be careful how much time you commit to your survivor. Running something like Monstrous Shrine isn't going to help you out, nor is Distressing. There are a lot of great options here, but unfortunately none of them come pre-made on Freddy. That's why you notice my rank 1 and my rank 10 builds are two completely different builds based on how much time and experience you have. So this is making the best of a bad situation. Alright guys, that's all for Freddy, by looks of things. We'll go through the add-ons real quick. Alright, if we're going to go through them really, really quick, this allows you to move 5% slower, but it's going to give you 2 seconds faster sleep. Therefore, the 7 seconds becomes 5. The 5 can then become 3 if you're running, you know, double Z block. It'll be very terrifying. You can get a couple of free hits out really quick. One person starts to sleep. If they spawn beside a survivor, they could just wake each other up. That's only really good with Dying Light and Amori. Still not even that great. Be really easily counted. Best add-on Freddy has right now is called the Class Photo. While a survivor's falling asleep, it adds 2 seconds to the timer, so instead of 7, it becomes 9, and every other survivor's aura will glow. So if you're running this on the Haunted Ground, Devour Hope, Make Your Choice, Distorted or Barbecue and Chili kind of build, holy shit, you're absolutely terrifying, because you're going to be able to pick and choose and go, he's out of position, and just get stacks and keep the pressure on. You're going to win 9 out of 10 games, or every game if you're playing on the game. Most cases. Paint Thinner, while somebody's falling asleep, you get a tremendous amount of movement speed after they fall asleep, much like the Spirit coming out of phase with the lunge hit. You can do the same thing on Freddy. Not that great. Pill Bottle. Good add-on. You put somebody to sleep, you no longer appear to them. You'll notice when Freddy Krueger puts you to sleep, you'll be able to see him, then he'll disappear, then see him, then he'll disappear. That removes it, period. So somebody could sit at a pallet and panic and wait and throw the pallet down while you've already rotated away, yeah? Blue Dress, I do recommend. A pretty damn good add-on. Decreased skill check chance while somebody's asleep. Keep in mind, it all comes down to luck and RNG. Multiple people on generators, somebody's going to go skill check and they're going to wake up. It can be good. There is a counterpart to it, though. You can always run the swing chains, which reduces 25% of working while they're asleep. So you put somebody to sleep again, they get another 25% penalty. That's 50% slower. That's like another 40 seconds on a Jenny. That's 120 seconds to do a Jenny. You're going to be in deep trouble with that kind of timer. Yeah? And then you've got some unicorn blocks. Nothing too amazing here. Yeah, you've got movements, you've got power range, you've got moderately reduced their action speed. You could stack double action speed. He has some okay stuff, yeah? And no point really going into the brown. That's about it for Freddy Krueger. Real quickly, I was saying it at the start, if I wanted to win every single game as Freddy Krueger, and I wanted to do it as an absolute sweaty killer, I would go and play a game offering. I would play the Class Photo alongside the Blue Dress. I'd be looking at running Devour Hope. I'd be running Haunted Ground. I'd go Make Your Choice, and I would go Infectious Fright. If I wanted to win every single game as Freddy Krueger, that is the build I'd run. I have full lethal. I know when to leave somebody on the ground. I know that I can rotate away from somebody on the ground. I have so much pressure and power. That right there is a near unbeatable Freddy Krueger build. You'll notice there's no Mori. There's no need for the Mori because of how much lethality you have, right? You still have default sleep time. If you wanted to counter kind of a little bit of default sleep time, the Pill Bottle would be another really good option. Why would it be a good option? Because I'm playing on the game offering right now. There is no grass on the game, but there is Concrete, they can hear your pitter patter of the feet, but when they don't see you for 9 seconds, they might panic, and you can rotate up and above. You can do a lot of crazy things. That right there, in my opinion, is the near unbeatable Freddy Krueger build you can run. That is very scary and intimidating, and I hope I never have to verse that kind of build. I've done it a few times here on stream and shown you guys just how really powerful that is, and how Freddy Krueger running that kind of shit can be an absolute force to be reckoned with, alongside Spirit, Nurse, and Billy. Obviously not as good, but still very powerful. But alright guys, that's going to be all for Freddy Krueger, so